Do you want to know how to make these mirrors look cooler? I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. Sleeker, smoother, sportier, better. So it's no secret that the Acty truck doesn't come with the most attractive set of mirrors. So we're going to do something about that today. You can order these generic, are they spoon style Civic mirrors on eBay. I think that you can get these guys for about 30 or 40 bucks delivered to your door. They're slick, they're smooth, they're sporty, and there is absolutely zero aftermarket support for a cool set of mirrors. There's no little cheap carbon fiber ones, no cheap plastic ones. Unfortunately, there's apparently just not a market for it. But I've kind of figured out a way for around another $20 in materials that you can go from having these square blocky guys to running a sleeker set. And with what I've kind of worked out, there's 2 points of adjustment because these mirrors themselves, they don't have a lot of adjustment. I've had them on cars in the past, and you can even put them on where they're supposed to go and bolt on, and you really have a limited field of view. So with the way that I'm doing it, you're going to have the ability to actually rotate and clock this on the mount point, and then once you get that kind of dialed in, then you'll also have the ability to rotate and clock the piece of glass itself, giving you a better field of view, making this tiny mirror just a little bit, more useful. Materials you are going to need to get this done. You're going to need, I used an 1/8 inch piece of plate steel because I had this on hand from just earlier shenanigans and projects. You're going to need a decent set of drill bits or one small one and a uni bit because you're going to have to get through this and then step up the hole. You're going to need a piece of cardboard to use as a template. I like to use old beer boxes. So what you're going to do at the beginning, this is your attachment point to the mirror. And so what I've gone and done, see, I can just lay that on there. I have my holes marked. And what you do is you just really, all I did was I stuck the mirror down on top of a piece of cardboard, used my Sharpie marker, went around it, and then started cutting out the cardboard and then just began whittling it down as I went until I got the smooth shape that I wanted, where it didn't really protrude from the outside of the mirror. You kind of want it just to be flush, smooth, and look like an extension of the mirror itself. Now that we got our cardboard template made, just going to set it as close to the edge as possible because that's less cutting that I have to do. Get that positioned, and really just take our Sharpie marker, run the perimeter of the cardboard. So the next step is to get this cut out. If you don't have a bandsaw like this or the stand, don't worry. You can do this with an angle grinder. You can chew through it. Shoot, I don't know. But you don't have to have this particular tool. You can just use an angle grinder. Whatever you need to do, I think you could probably get through this with a Dremel. There's lots of little tools that you could buy to cut out this simple shape. So if you don't have this particular one, then just, find another way. There's more than one way to get this done. We got our plate made. It's time to put our 3 holes in to line up with the mirror. I'm going to go smallest to biggest. I have 4 drill bits set up, and we're going to go ahead and get our first, second, third, and fourth. And by the end, we'll be able to just pop this on the side of the mirror, bolt it in, and move on to the truck side attachment point. So we got our plate cut out. We have the 3 holes drilled in. That gives us 3 points of attachment. I just have 2 in temporarily, but now the next step is to make it to where we can mount it to the factory Acty mounting point on your door. So you got the big bulky square mirror. There's going to be a bolt and spring on the bottom. Go ahead and pop that off. We don't need anything. Remove all the guts. Went through my bolt bucket. Got a decent sized bolt. Have a washer that sits up underneath the bottom to square it out. And the very next step is simply going to be cutting out a little 1 by 1 inch square piece of steel. Now, before cutting this out, we're going to go ahead and take it to the little drill press table and punch the center out where we can get that bolt through. The reason we're going to do it now is after we cut this little square out, attempting to cinch it in place and get that big drill bit in is going to be really tough. So do yourself a favor, don't learn the hard way. Drill the hole, then cut the little tab. After we get that done, we're going to round one side out. We're going to tack weld it onto the plate and then begin working the pitch of this bracket to the right position to where the mirror looks correct on the door. Now that we have our crude little mounting tab made, you're going to want to more or less eyeball center. I found that right here beneath this bolt hole is the ideal place. This is where one tack's going to go on one end, obviously the other one. And something to keep in mind is I like to pull 1/8 of an inch to get that upper mark. And when we lay it out, we're going to go from bottom to center of that. And the reason that I do that is the angle of the mirror and the angle of the mounting point of the truck are about that much off. So we're going to go ahead and tack that, and then we'll work on the actual tilt of our mounting tab. So we have our little makeshift tab. It is now tack welded on. The magnet holds it at a perfect 90-degree angle, but unfortunately that's not the angle we need. Just roughly eyeball this. It's about 1/8 of an inch, and I just like to use my little guy right here and lock down on it and take it from here, and you're bending up towards this sharpest corner. You're just going to grab that, eyeball it. Oh wow, it's tacked really good. So bendy, bendy, bendy. I think that looks about perfect. So you can see this, see how it is no longer perfect at that level. It is now kind of tucked in towards this bracket. If it doesn't show up on camera very well, just believe me on this one, guys. You got to get that one and you got to bring her in about 1/8 of an inch. And you can sit there and mess with it. You can mount this to the mirror now and then bolt it to the bracket for the truck. And you'll just have to sit there and play with it. Just get it dialed in exactly where you want it to be. But you need this 1/8 of an inch up in towards the center of the bracket, and then you need to bend this guy about 1/8 of an inch back inside. So after following those steps, this is what you get. You have the spoon style EK mirror, and we have our Honda Acty mounting bracket for our door. If you wanted to bring it in a little closer, you could change the distance where the hole is punched. You could change the diameter of the bolt. If you want it pitched up more, then you can bend the tab in more. If you want it pitched out farther, then you can bend it down, keep it where it is. If we don't like the reveal when we get a little further, we can add another little piece of metal as like a little shield there. There's a lot of options, but basically what you're going to want to do is to create this bracket. And it is nothing but this piece of plate, this little tab, you weld them together, and then you figure out the differences and you just play with it. If you don't like how far it stands off, I could pop this off and I could shave some down off of the little tab and put it back on and just sit there and work it out. But I'm gonna go ahead and take the finished part outside. I got one of the doors on a bench and just show you what it looks like.